In 1970, I came here with the intention of meeting my father for the first time since I was a little lad of 6 or 7. And I was told that he was working here on a construction site. So I thought, okay, let's go along and find him. But how would I recognize him after all those years? Remember, I was a little boy of 6, 7, and I had no real memory of him. So on the day, I arrived walking down the high street towards this construction site and wondering how I was going to be able to find him on this very large construction site. Now, at the same time, coincidentally, or perhaps not so coincidentally, a man wearing a bib and brace arrives at this walkway at exactly the same time as me. We're walking along together in parallel, and I'm thinking, okay, I won't be able to recognize my father after all these years, but this chap obviously works here on the site. And I turned to him and I said, "Excuse me, I wonder if you could tell me where Bobby Wise is." And he turned and looked me straight in the eyes and he said, "Don't you recognize your own father when you see him?" I thought, wow, that's quite incredible. There I was, looking straight in the face of my father that I didn't even recognize. How could I, from, so many years being absent from my life? And we had a conversation, and the interesting thing about the conversation is I have no memory of anything that was said in that conversation. But I had taken away from that meeting something very special. And the way I'll describe it to you is that I had a sense of belonging. There was always a gap in my life, and now that gap was filled. And before we parted, we spoke, I suppose, for about 10-15 minutes, no more than that. But before we parted, I said, "Look, stand there and I'd like to take a photograph of you that I can take away." So he stood in front of the car and that was parked there, and I took a photograph of him. And in those days you didn't have instant photography, so I had to have it developed. And I had it developed, and it's been a constant talking point for me. Taking the photograph out and looking at it and having a sense that I know where I belong. Now, if you're ever thinking of making a similar journey, or you've already made that a journey, and perhaps that journey didn't turn out exactly as you wanted it to, you may well be wondering, well, was it worth it? But in reality, I think it's always worth it. Because even if it doesn't turn out in a positive way, in the way you wanted it to, something's changed within inside you. That I can absolutely guarantee you. So if you're thinking about it, please do it, because something changes inside us. It impacts on us not just in an emotional way, it impacts us in a physical way as well. So please make the journey. It's one I made, and I'm glad I did. Thank you for watching.